welcome everybody to the October Historic District Board Review meeting. My name is Josh Wilbur, and I'll be kind of emceeing the meeting from up here. So appreciate everybody coming. At this point in time, Brooke, we will do roll call.
Absolutely. Josh Wilbur,
Present.
Jerome Vernon,
Present.
Thomas Stark,
Present.
Owen McCall,
Present.
Jerry Wade,
Present.
Ken McWilliams,
Present.
and Mike Pittman.
Here.
All right, everybody received the minutes from last month's meeting. Any additions, corrections, comments? I was All right, hearing none, I'll accept the motion.
Move to approve.
Your second. Approved.
Josh Wilbur,
Approved.
Jerome Vernon,
Approve.
Thomas Stark,
Approve.
Owen McCall,
Approved.
Jerry Wade,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams,
Approved.
and Mike Pittman.
Approve.
All right, with that, we will move on to our next point of the agenda, which is the new applications or existing applications. Before we do, I'll let everybody know what the process is. I will read aloud the application that we're going to discuss. If the person, whoever represents the application, wants to come up to the podium, state your name and your address. Once you do that, Brooke will then go over the application and read what has been put on the application. Then at that point, I'll go back to the applicant and ask them if there's anything else they would like to add. After that point, then the board will ask questions, make any comments about the application that they might have. Then we'll give the audience a chance. And at that point, the board will then go through what we call findings of fact, and then we will have a vote on it. So that is the process. Hopefully it's not too painful for everybody. We'll try to make it as painless as possible. So with our first application, I believe it is 718 West 3rd Street. This is an extended application from last month. So do we have an applicant? Are they here? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Melissa Lee Miller, reside at 118 East Main Street.
All right, thank you.
This home, owned by Melissa and Todd Miller, is a circa 1890 contributing shotgun, zoned historic district residential. The COA request is to build a new home to the exact footprint of the existing home, with the exception of adding on to the existing floor plan as a camelback. Previous approval was that the home did receive an unsafe structure declaration to demolish. Now we'll go through the photos of the proposed plan. Sorry about that. Let me get this restarted. It's not wanting to cooperate. I apologize.
Hey, Melissa.
There we go.
Turn on your microphone.
Got it. Oh, we got it.
There we go, perfect, thank you. And so, like I stated, the applicant decided to go with the camelback addition, and this would be the one rendering. The second floor plan. And that's all I have on that, and she did state in the application that she would be using materials conforming to historic district guidelines.
Melissa, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you do the camelback, do you know what your setbacks are? Are you going to meet the setbacks for the property, as far as you know?
I've already gotten permission from the zoning commission
Okay.
last week
Okay.
for the 0 setbacks on, I think, the west side we need.
Okay, good deal. Just make sure.
So I think I'm good there.
Okay. So you got nothing more to add? Then, board, do you guys have any questions?
I have a question about the unsafe structure order. What does that exactly mean?
So I was actually asked to go into the property and look at the structure itself. When I went in, there was so much termite damage that the bottom part of where your foundation walls are was gone. The only thing holding it up was the shiplap, and the outside of the building was what's holding that building up. I truly believe that that home needed to be structurally reinforced, and it wasn't gonna be done in any way that I could see feasible.
So you feel like it would be dangerous for workmen to go in there and attempt to structurally reinforce it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So,
And I have pictures myself that I haven't given to Brooke, is the reason I wrote that letter.
okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
So what materials are you planning to use? I know she said, materials conforming to it, but do you have an idea of what materials?
Yeah, we're gonna use like traditional, the wood windows, the hardy back siding. There's currently a structure, on the east side of us that, is exactly what we wanna do. We wanna mimic, we're not going back any further. We're following the sight lines for every resident in the back on the west side and east side to just make it look, conformative. So we're basically just using historic approved materials. We're not doing anything fancy. We're probably gonna use hardy back siding. And that's one of the things why we have to demo it, because there's not enough structure to even support any other heavier siding. Even wood, I don't think would even work.
Melissa, do you have plans for a garage?
At this present time, I do not, because my lot is only 15 feet wide. And, I think I'm just gonna do a pad and maybe a little lean-to shed situation.
I brought this up during the last meeting, but on the rear of the property, the property actually drops down in the back. So are there gonna be supporting structures in the back of the property to hold the back up? Are you gonna infill with dirt? Are you gonna fill it with dirt? Are you gonna bring in additional fill material to
We only plan to go back.
make it level?
Yeah, we only plan to go back 10 feet, and so we won't need to re-instruct just the
I
10
got it.
feet. And then it'll just basically be my backyard that drops down. And we'll probably will have to end up leveling that out, but then once you get to the back of the property where the concrete pad will be and the lean-to and the small tiny shed, it's basically flat back there.
Right,
So
right.
I've just got that middle to back hump. I don't
Mhm.
think that we have to address that for the build. But I'm not a contractor, but we will take care of it.
And so this new structure is gonna be on the exact same footprint as the old structure?
Exact same footprint, but also extending back 10 feet and going up for the camelback.
I see, I
Yeah.
see.
And it will mimic exactly what my neighbor has.
Okay, so you may have to use some fillers or some kind of fill in the back or something to make it level in that far back.
Yeah, well, yes, we're gonna pour concrete, and I'm pretty
Oh,
sure
I
that
gotcha.
they will be
Okay.
making it structurally sound.
Right.
That's not my
right.
forte. I can tell you what tile we're gonna put in there, but I do. Exactly how the foundation's gonna be poured.
Got a nice little fence in the front, you're keeping that, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, we wanna keep all the nostalgia.
I see, okay.
Any comments from the board? Anything from the audience? All right, hearing none, we'll go to our findings of fact. Owen, you want to start us off?
Okay, so I think this is a pretty simple case because there's a demolition order, so the only thing that can be done is to put something up there again. And the fact that she's using the original footprint means that it's completely consistent, is possibly could be with what is there now. So that certainly fulfills the residential guidelines on pages 69 through 71. And as far as the new construction, the addition that will be newly constructed, the guidelines, page 68, it couldn't be more perfect because it's mirroring her historic neighbors. So I don't see how it could be done more to the guidelines than that.
Ken?
I approve for the same reason.
Mike?
Approve for the same reasons.
Jerry?
Approve for the same reasons.
Tom?
I approve for the same reasons.
Jerome?
I approve for the same reasons.
I too agree for the same reasons. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review grant the certificate of appropriateness to Melissa at 718 West 3rd Street to rebuild that house with the additional 10-foot extension. So, and
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Brooke?
Josh Wilbur,
Approved.
Jerome Vernon,
Approved.
Thomas Stark,
Approve.
Owen McCall,
Approve.
Jerry Wade,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams,
approve.
and Mike Pittman.
Approve.
Melissa, with that, you will get your COA in the mail. We appreciate what you and Todd are doing and appreciate you guys waiting and actually, really designing this out so we could understand a lot of what you were doing, as well as getting, the building inspector's input. I know it was another month and I hate that you waited, but hopefully it was worth it.
Yeah,
And
it
thank
will
you
be.
very much.
Yes. Thank you, have a good evening.
Appreciate it. All right, we're moving to our next application at 1037 West Main Street. State your name and address for us, please.
Dale Wells, 1037 West Main Street.
All right.
This home owned by Dale Wells is a circa 1850 contributing Italianate, zoned residential medium density. The COA request is to build an attic addition to the house, to house one room, a half bath, include 4 wood doors with 1 being on the front facade, 3 on the rear, using wood, asphalt shingle, wood or aluminum clad windows, 8 exterior lights, and hardy board siding. Now, the work was begun without a COA, so if we look at the pictures, we'll see this is what the home looked like in 2013 on the front facade and the rear facade. These are the sketches of the proposed addition. You can see the rear at the top, front at the bottom. And this is what has been done so far. Picture to the left showing the front facade with the attic addition, and the picture on the right showing the rear facade with the 3 sets of French doors. And this is the site plan showing the setbacks. And that is all I have.
Dale, do you want to add anything to your application?
The front would mimic the rear, as I've done already in the back, except there would only be 1 single door.
So basically, that's all gonna go straight
Yes.
across and you have
Right.
1 door in reality.
Exactly.
Okay. Does the board have any questions or comments?
Yes, Josh, I have to recuse myself from this particular case. I have prior contact with the applicant.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
So Dale, nothing's gonna be built above the red brick? You're
No,
building
no.
above
No,
the right.
no.
Are you going to do anything to the first floor?
No.
Is that plaster covering brick or?
No, yes, that is, underneath there is just brick mat. So it's, if anything, I would remove it and redo it with brick, because it's just brick mat with a concrete facade.
What is brick bat?
Just pieces of brick, broken pieces of brick that were set and in mortar. None of it is full brick underneath there.
Like a veneer?
Yeah, or it's like, just like a bunch of broken pieces formed into a wall.
You're saying that's what's on the front porch, the gray colored, am I thinking about the right place?
Right,
Right, what there, the right side that just has the single window.
right.
That looks like, okay, we could see here in 2013 what is actually there.
If I may.
So,
Yeah.
I was just wanting to add that what you can see here in 2013 that was on the left side, he is, I would assume, pressure washed and cleaned that off of the brick, or you added brick on this side?
No, I just cleaned it.
Okay,
I just cleaned it.
so I think what he's trying to say is on this right side, he would eventually clean that up to where it matches the left side.
Yes, exactly.
So this, the thing you're saying, brick facade, that will be removed.
Right, yeah, I'd like to replace it with the original brick that was there.
But you don't mean replace it with the original brick, you mean
Just
expose
exposing
the
what is
original.
there.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
So it's a match.
right.
So the application that's before us is really just mainly for the attic,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
This is not for anything else that's
No,
already been done?
no, just the attic.
It, as you were building your attic, so you're planning to put hardy board on your attic?
Yeah, that's what's on there now, in the back, in the rear.
Okay.
It's hardy board.
So it will not be, you won't use like a brick veneer or anything like
That,
that?
I wanted to, but I thought about, getting a paint that would match the brick, get a mix that would match the brick and paint that, a brick-like color that, as close as I could get to the brick. Because I would prefer that over the brown.
Mr. Wells, I think I read where you were planning on using shingles.
Yes, on top.
Those look like flat roofs to me, so wouldn't you need to
No,
use a
there's
rubber membrane?
There's a, well, it has a membrane like that on it now, but it's 9 foot and 9/11 in the rear. It's 11. There's an 11-inch drop, so it would it was capable of the shingles, but a membrane would be fine. Whatever, honestly, whatever is would be more.
Keep it from leaking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Well, you say an 11-inch drop, that is not near enough slope for shingles.
Says who?
Well, I'm no expert, I mean, I've done some roofs, but
Yeah.
what would our building inspector say?
For a shingled roof,
It's a foot. It's a foot.
it would still need to be more sloped than that for a shingled roof.
Well, and the membrane would do.
Absolutely.
Yes. Water wouldn't sit on a 12-inch slope, on a 12-inch drop.
So I think the concern is, I had something similar on the back part of my house, and it was about 12 inches, but the concern is that it will roll down, and especially in the winter, it could go back up because there's not enough slope for it to drain.
No, not at all, not at all. I disagree, but, right now it's just a membrane on there, and it's quite nice, but, I can't see it going up a foot. Maybe 3 or 4 inches, it could roll under, but I doubt it, but
Is the question on the right side of the structure, or is it on the left?
So I think the question's about the attic. part.
Yeah.
The entire roof?
The entire roof.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I used 12-inch, 2x12s at 2 foot. So it's sound.
I don't think the question is the structural.
And 3/4 inch plywood on the roof.
Absolutely. I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Wells. My question to the board is, so the roofing that we're talking about, that he's gonna come back after he adds his addition on the attic, is that what's in question, or?
That's what my question was.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
use, a membrane would be cheaper, certainly. More economical.
Well, I
And
guess
this
I'm
is-
confused, I was thinking of the low slope part of the roof. the left side of the left picture and the right side of the right picture, that,
No.
okay, that's low slope, right?
Well, if you're looking,
I
if
don't
you're looking
believe
at the
that.
right, if you're looking at this side right here, the slope on this side is only, I think it's less than 9 inches.
And that's
From
what
front
has
to
the
back.
membrane.
No, this has a metal roof,
Okay.
the original, but there's only a 9-inch slope on that, but it's a tin roof.
That will not be touched.
That won't be touched.
Okay, so the
Yeah,
other
that's not-
side's got plenty of slope
Yes.
for shingles, okay, I
Yes,
was confused.
yes, okay.
So, yeah, if
Yes,
that were to
exactly.
stay there,
Yeah.
it's
So,
got a lot of slope.
That's
Mr.
got a
Wells,
lot-
on this-
That's a lot of slope, exactly.
On the front part of this, then, on your dormer that you're adding on the front, will that have a gable then to it, or?
No,
Okay.
no. It would run like this, the sign, except this, that would only be the center, that would only be that door.
Let's see, I think if I can go back to your sketch.
Yeah, so that would, I'd fill in, and the second phase, the third phase would be this side, and the fourth phase would be that side.
Or can you go back to the front back picture again, so we can see what the back looks like now? So you're saying that, you will go all the way across at
Yes,
one
ma'am,
point?
I mean, yes, sir. On the rear, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, on the front, yeah. That would be almost the exact same as the rear, except one door single.
Brooke, is that in the application?
The sketch I provided is, yes. I'll get the application, give you the exact verbiage.
Can you explain to us, what brought you to adding this addition on a historic home?
Because when the house was originally built, it was the first store in West Madison, as it was referred to then, excuse me, please. And so it's, if you've ever been inside of it, this, if you see the line there, this first there was that. Then he later added that. And then then when the son went to war, came back, he built this side. And then it wasn't enough. The son had a family after the war, so he built the house next door here. And the son moved into that house. And this house up here on the left was his carriage house. And so underneath I think the front was originally the back, because at the time, the steamboat building factory that is now the marina, and I think they sold kerosene and sandwiches. And I think that path to the marina from the rear, the store functioned from there, because underneath there were three underground rooms, under the front lawn. And I think they stored jarred goods. And one of them collapsed, and it's now filled in. But the other two are still there.
It's interesting that it might have been it. Might have
Yeah, I
been the
think,
front. You may be-
I
may
think
be
the
right.
rear was the front.
That's interesting.
They did most of the business out of it. But there was a gas station next door. And the pictures at the Historic Society show the gas station with the Model A Ford and the big jars above it. And I think and there's another picture with his granddaughter playing there in the front. And I haven't still understood how West Madison, and that being the first store in West Madison, if Madison only extended to the railroad bridge. I haven't seen or been able to find any more information on where exactly West Madison began and ended.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess so what made you go up another level though?
Because underneath there is another, well, you can see it from the behind, there's two stores, but you can only see the one story from the front.
Right.
And so the footprint, as such, had everything but a bedroom.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess the kitchen was downstairs, all the way up on the bottom floor, in the back. And so there's no bedroom, so I thought I'd make that a bedroom with a bathroom.
So this is the only bedroom in the house?
Yes.
Holy moly. Any other questions? Comments from the board?
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
what- You chose hardy board.
Yes,
Did you look at brick?
yes, but I don't think the weight, I looked at a brick veneer, but I don't think the weight would have been conducive. I tried to use as light of materials as was possible to not put any stress on her. That she would suffer.
Brooke, if this second floor is built all the way across, does that mean the home will not be a contributing home in the future?
More than likely, yes, because it's significantly changing the architectural detailing on that front facade to where, I mean, it's changing the roof line. And National Park Service guidelines with the bulletins on additions, especially rooftop additions, state those should be, if built ever, should be situated back from the front facade to where they're not readily as visible. So I would say it more than likely would lose its contributing status.
So it loses its status as a historic property?
No, sir, it would, so the houses in our historic district are either listed as contributing or non-contributing. The contributing structures are ones that have retained the historic, as much historic material as possible and the original historic character. The ones that have been greatly changed, lose that status of a contributing structure. In other words, it doesn't, look much like it did when it was originally built. And so,
Then I would redesign the front, for that reason alone, I would redesign the front so that it remained as before, but, to take it back out and just change the slope a little so that there would be no difference, so that there would be so there wouldn't be a noticeable difference.
So you mean, so you're thinking taking the door out?
If there, as she just
Yeah.
explained,
Yeah,
I would remove it, if that's the case.
so you wouldn't
Because I
come all the
think-
way to the front, basically, you would just have this addition, it would kind of slope.
Yeah,
and then-
slope, yeah, so it would retain its,
It's interesting.
because I truly love what Madison represents historically, and I would be remiss were that I to interfere with that in any way. I'm just a steward.
Well, you obviously have a huge passion for this home, you've done your research on it, and you've heard it's her, you're trying not to stress her
Yes,
out. I mean,
yeah.
it's obviously, you've got a love for it, I mean, I think it's wonderful you take
Yeah,
other people into consideration.
It's like an art project. I'm not so concerned with time or a lot of people build overnight, and a lot happens very quickly. But it's not true to the guidelines. The windows are off 99% of the time. The windows are devalued in their size and filled in, and I am. That's why I've been hesitant on the rear with the windows.
And all those are doors back there, aren't they?
Well,
Is that right?
those windows are 10 feet tall.
Yeah, I mean, but are they doors as well as windows, or just?
No.
Okay.
No.
The one
They
black
look
one
like
is the door right there?
Yes.
Or there's, okay. Second one in from the left then, right, is a door?
Yes.
Okay.
You fooled me, they don't look like
No, no.
doors.
So I would want it to stay with the guidelines, and as just being a steward here for a short while, that I've been the caretaker, that the restoration is true. So I would take that down. I would remove that. No, I wish I had known that.
There in the front.
Yes, I would have done something totally different.
Well, Del, would you be willing to, delay the application a month to redesign that, to do a new design, so that you can come back to us and have a, you know, pretty
Yeah,
solid plan?
Certainly I would do that. But, and I have one question. Is the door that great of significance, that the change would still make the difference?
Which door?
The front, the one in the
Yes.
front that he's wanting to put there,
It goes against the
Goes- okay,
guidelines.
Right, okay.
it does, cause, you know, doing that, it does really, that's what
Okay, so,
significantly
yeah.
changes it.
Yeah.
The
then
doors on the back
Right. then-
don't.
Then I would revert it. I would revert it to, it's the original design and just maybe bring it out, 2 foot and slope it. Yeah, so that it remains in character.
So
Yes.
from the center point of the house,
Right,
we'd kind of
yeah.
go towards the front a little bit, but
Mhm.
still slope the
Still
roof
slope it.
enough to
Yeah,
get
so-
his bedroom and,
Right, get a bathroom in there.
yeah,
And
that's
I would
quite
be-
possible.
Yes.
I'd be more than happy to work with you, on, if you wanted to do a rough sketch of what you're thinking, and then we could set up at a time to meet, where we can talk about, I'll go over the guidelines with you and kind of show you what the National Park Service Bulletin has to say about rooftop additions, and we can discuss all of that if you'd like.
Would you be willing to do that, Dale?
I'd be glad to do it.
That would be great, because I think that would really help. I mean, I think what you're doing is gonna be
Yeah, I'd be glad to
tremendous,
do it.
so, yeah. Okay, so you're good with us delaying 1 month and you working with Brooke?
Certainly.
Okay,
Gladly.
all
I'd be
right,
more
so
than glad to.
would the board want to make a motion to
Mr.
extend this?
Chair, I move that we delay for 1 month, project, Dale's project at 1037 West Main Street.
I second it.
Brooke,
Josh Wilbur,
approved?
Jerome Vernon,
Abstain.
abstain.
You play a fender?
Owen McCall,
Approved. No, that's not.
Jerry Wade,
Approved.
Ken McWilliams,
Approved.
Mike Pittman,
Approved.
So what we done, we've
One
approved?
more.
and Thomas Stark.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Tom.
Sorry.
Approved.
Yeah. So what we've done is approved it to be extended a month, and you to work with Brooke if you would, like you said. And,
Yes.
again, we appreciate you bringing this all to our attention and the information. It's really been helpful.
I appreciate you as well, and Brooke. She is certainly the resident genius, isn't she?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go to our next application at 412 East Street. If you would just state your name and address for us.
Gary Leiter, 220 Sunrise Drive.
All right. Brooke?
This home owned by Gary Leiter is in circa 1840 contributing federal zone specialty district. The COA request is to demolish the non-historic shed at the alley and build a 24 by 40 garage with cement floor, 10 siding, a 10-foot overhead door with exterior security lighting, 4 vinyl 2 by 3 windows on each 40-foot side, and a building height of 10 feet. These are pictures of the existing shed on the alley. This picture shows, with the tape measure, 10 foot from the center of the alley, just to kind of give you reference for scale. These are the plans with the setbacks. And these are examples of the type of tin siding and roofing on the left, and a solid steel door on the right. And that is all I have.
Brooke, do we know, how much do we know about this shed being non-contributing? Is that, you pretty sure about that?
I went out and looked at it myself. The NHL survey as well lists it as more modern. I'm pretty certain, yeah.
I kinda think so too, but I wanna make sure.
Yeah.
Gary, do you have anything to add to that?
And I think that, all the setbacks are gonna be within code. I didn't, the 3-foot setback from the alley edge, everything else is 15 to 100 feet
Yeah,
from
yeah.
anything else.
I think you're fine with those,
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Okay, any questions, comments from the board?
Would you consider using wood windows instead of vinyl windows?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, not a problem. Absolutely.
Okay, that solves a big problem right
Yeah,
there.
no,
Yeah.
not a problem at all.
Great. And
Now,
would
is
that be-
imitations, so is there a, and I haven't researched this, but it looks like wood, or does it have to be actual wood or something?
Yeah, there's aluminum clad.
There you go.
That
That's what I
we've
was-
done,
okay.
so it's wood, it's clad in aluminum, and
Okay.
that we've approved, yes.
But if it's done like that, is that okay?
Aluminum
Yes.
clad is fine, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that prevents you ever having to paint the outside.
Yeah, that's what that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Awesome, yeah.
Any other questions?
I have one for Brooke. When I went over there, Brooke, it looks like a very old-looking standing seam roof on half of that, on the half, what would it be, the south half? Which makes me think that, I know it has more modern wood on the side, on 2 of the 3 sides. Yeah, okay, so you can see that to the right.
Mhm.
Some of that looks pretty historic, and if you went around the corner to the west, I think that still looks like the old siding, and then that, yeah, right there, it's on the left. And then the standing seam roof, that suggests to me it's pretty old.
Do you have any pictures of the inside?
No,
Because when I look at it, it looks like 2 separate buildings that have been joined together.
It does, yes. It wouldn't be uncommon for, that roof to have been repurposed and to be used on the shed, but if you look at the construction and the materials, it certainly is indicative, of a more modern shed. Like I said, the NHL survey listed as such as well. I honestly would think that roofing is probably, was fair material that
Oh,
was
I see.
used.
I see.
I mean, again, and not being able to go inside and look at construction detail, you know, just from what I can see on the outside, this was not a historic structure.
By looking at the rafters that are under.
Yeah, I was
that
gonna say
standing
the
seam,
rafters are clear there. I've been in
I
there a
mean,
million times. I've owned it 20
Wood
years.
does not stay that color very long,
No.
so that's definitely been repurposed metal on top.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Any questions, comments from the audience? Hearing none, we'll go to findings of fact. So, Ken, you want to take us through?
Excuse me.
Did you wanna do the demo ordinance first, or do you want me to go to finding of facts first?
Let's just do the demo first.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we did. Yes, we did.
Alright, so there's ordinances up, or do you want that one first, or the guidelines first, Ken?
I can't read that far away, so I'm trying to find it in the notes. you
Sorry,
sent back.
here, I should have it on this, let me.
Well, I know it's right here.
Oh, okay.
I just haven't found it, sorry. I don't have that page.
Mike, yeah, Mike.
Yeah, that's it, sure, sorry.
It's already fine.
I like Ken.
And you can see.
Demolition on ordinance basically says criteria for the board to consider in case of proposed demolition. This structure was not deemed historic, both by our preservationists and the NHL survey, so I don't see an issue with this. Plus, it's at the rear of the property. And I don't believe, basically, from both the applicant's testimony as well as what the board's uncovered here, is that it is a historic structure, so I see no
Jerry?
I agree.
Tom?
I agree.
Jerome?
I agree.
Owen?
I agree.
Ken?
I agree, same reasons.
I too agree for the same reasons. So we need to, we'll go ahead and vote on this and then we'll do the next one.
However you want to do it. You can combine it into one, I just didn't know.
Yeah, let's
How you
go ahead and
wanna
vote on
handle
this part and that way we have them in separate.
Okay.
So I'll accept the motion for this application for the demolition.
I move, based on the findings of fact by the historic board, that we grant a certificate of demolition for Gary Leiter at 412 East Street for the shed/garage in the back of the building.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Brooke?
Josh Wilbur,
Approved.
Jerome Vernon,
Approve.
Thomas Stark,
Approve.
Owen McCall,
Approve.
Jerry Wade,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams,
Approved.
and Mike Pittman.
Approved.
Okay, so now we'll go on to the next part of the application, which is the new building.
Okay, the new construction infill building, 69 to 71. Now that the building's gone, almost. Basically, point number one, new building should be compatible with adjacent buildings in terms of height, as this will be. New building should be compatible with adjacent buildings, that's the rear of the property, and it will be. And new buildings should be compatible with, in terms of setbacks, and that's also. So I believe it meets all the findings of fact.
All right. Jerry?
Agree.
Tom?
Approve.
Jerome?
Approve.
Owen?
Approve.
Ken?
Agree, same reasons.
And I too agree for the same reasons. With that, I'll accept the motion.
I would make a motion that based upon the preceding findings of fact, I've moved that the Madison Historic Board of Review approve an application for a certificate of appropriateness for 412 East Street to build the new 34 by 40 garage with the cement floor, the tin siding, the overhead door, the lighting, and not vinyl windows, but the windows we discussed, the wood or the aluminum clad with a height of 10 feet.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Brooke?
Josh Wilbur,
Approved.
Jerome Vernon,
Approve.
Thomas Stark,
Approve.
Owen McCall,
Approve.
Jerry Wade,
Approved.
Ken McWilliams,
Approved.
and Mike Pittman.
Approved.
All right, well, Gary, you'll get your certificate of appropriateness in the mail for demolition and for the build of the new building. So,
Awesome, thank you, appreciate it.
appreciate it, thank you very much, congratulations. All right, next application is 820 Fillmore Street.
Patrick Lynch, currently 527 West Third Street. This is recently sold it, and this will be my primary home.
All right, thank you, Patrick. Brooke?
This home owned or in the applicant is Christy Nichols, Patrick Lynch. It's a circa 1990, non-contributing modern movement, zoned historic district residential. The COA request is to extend the existing room by 3 feet on the northeast corner of the home using the same material as existing. Tear off the existing deck in the rear and replace it with a larger deck of 22 by 25 feet with a gable roof using the same materials as the current deck. You can see where the home is situated currently with the 2 parcels. And photographs of the front, the deck on the rear, the current one. Oops, sorry. You can see the deterioration on the current deck. This is a setback site plan, excuse me. A sketch of showing the rear deck, what it would be, what it would look like. Another site plan showing setbacks. Inspiration photo for the deck.
I assume you posed for that, Patrick? You posed for that?
Nice dog.
That's not Josie.
And that's all I have.
I thought that was funny.
So I see you want to move away from your current neighbors, so I don't know about that part, and we're not going to approve that part, but. Do you have anything to add to anything Brooks said? Okay. Any questions or comments from the board on this application?
Patrick, what is the step down from the original gable of the house to the gable of the covered deck?
Maybe a half a foot or something.
I'm
Just
sorry?
barely coming down, maybe
Okay.
somewhere half foot to a foot maybe.
Okay.
Just to be matching up with the house, so aesthetically it'll look like.
Yeah, yeah.
It's coming in. Not much, as little as possible, but just enough to give that. I'd say a half a foot probably would be my guess.
Could you just rotate the mic back where?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry about that.
We like hearing you.
Now, the new deck is gonna be a little larger than the old,
Yeah, it's
than what
presently got a shed
replaced
roof
it,
on
so.
it, and it's.
Is there-
it's
is
the
there
same
any
width,
point-
it'll just extend out farther.
Yeah, are there just gonna be posts to hold the new deck up, or are you gonna have anything underneath, a patio area or shaded area, or any
It
plans?
could, you know, potentially, but yeah, it's gonna be post.
I see.
Anything else from the board? Anything from the audience? All right, hearing none, we'll go to findings of fact. Tom, you want to start us off?
Sure. You want me to do the addition or deck first?
It's up to you.
Either way, yeah, I think we'll definitely do both of them though in the same.
Yeah, so additions to historic homes should be added to the rear of buildings. Additions should be smaller and simpler than the original building, which was why I asked the question. It sounds like you've stepped it down enough to make that happen. Additions should be of compatible design, roof shape, materials, color, and location of window, door, and cornice heights. Addition should not imitate earlier historical style, such as like Victorian, so we're good there. The addition should reflect the current design style, but be compatible with the original structure. In addition, addition should avoid extensive removal or damage to the historic structure, and I think we're fine on both of those. For the decks on page 64, residential guidelines, porches are preferred to decks, but decks are acceptable and at the rear of the historic building, which is what you're doing. Located at the rear of the building, decks should be of simple design. Decks should be painted or stained to match the color of the building. I'm guessing you're doing that as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think, according to the findings of fact for the addition and for the deck, that you've met all the requirements.
Thank you.
Jerome?
I agree for the same reasons.
Owen?
I agree.
Ken?
I agree, same reasons.
Mike?
I agree, same reasons.
Jared?
Agree, same reasons.
And I too agree for the same reasons. Accept a motion on this then.
Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to Christy Nichols and Patrick Lynch, located at 820 Fillmore Street, for a 3-foot extension on an existing room at the rear of the historic structure, or not historic structure, I guess, using the same materials as existing, which we've already discussed, and tearing off the existing deck and replacing it with a larger 22 by 25 foot deck with gabled roof using existing materials, and painting and staining to match the house.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Brooke?
If I may, real quick,
Yes.
to clarify, the addition, the 3-foot addition was going to be on the front of the home,
Oh,
not the
the
rear,
front.
so,
Okay,
Oh.
did we want to change that?
sure.
Yeah, he needs to amend, you probably should amend your,
Are you ready?
yes.
So let's start over. Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to Christy Nichols and Patrick Lynch for the proposed 3-foot extension to the front of the house of an existing structure, and let's see, where am I? Hang on a minute. Using the same methods and materials existing, which we've already discussed, and tearing off the existing deck and replacing a larger deck with 22 by 25 foot deck with gabled roof using existing materials that are found on the house.
do we have a second?
I second.
Now, Brooke.
Josh Wilbur,
Approved.
Jerome Vernon,
Approved.
Thomas Stark,
Approve.
Owen McCall,
Approve.
Jerry Wade,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams,
Approved.
and Mike Pittman.
Approve.
All right. Patrick, with that, you will get your COA in the mail. You can begin construction as long as you get your proper building permits. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And enjoy your time away from us. No, glad you're still downtown. See. All right, our next application is at 214 through 216 West Second Street.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
How are you doing?
Good, good. Back, that's right.
Chris and Gina Lynn, 214 Second Street.
Yeah. Brooke?
This home owned by Chris and Gina Lynn is a circa 1870 contributing Italian zoned historic district residential. The COA request is to demolish the 2 rear chimneys. And we can see by the pictures that has been done. The one on the left, the easternmost, has been. The one on the right, these are current pictures. And these are close-ups, just showing the picture on the left is actually the chimney on the right. So sorry, probably should have switched those, but I found this picture from 2013. The chimney on the right-hand side, you can see where it was partially demolished or had fallen in. Something had happened there. And that is all I have.
Well, we had the original intention to keep both of them, but when we started taking down the chimneys on one side, we were gonna do a header across, and we found there was too much weight and it deteriorated too much. So the first one came down, which would be if you're facing the home on the right, so it's the one that's missing right now. The one on the left side was falling apart. We were trying to save it, and it was leaking so bad that it was just crumbling on the inside. So our original intent was to go ahead and keep both of them, but then after we started to look at them and try to, like I said, one whole side we'd taken down already, and then the other side we'd like to take down also. So that was the original intent, and this just actually occurred pretty fast. It was like the first week of October that we had a crew actually start to dismantle the chimney before we found that it was deteriorated.
Yeah, I mean, we actually got the call from you guys the week that this all happened, because, you know, we weren't trying to take them down, we were trying to save them
We
both.
were trying to save them.
But they were missing bricks, I know the one on the right from the back, when they were both like cut off, and they were missing bricks, and there was actually bricks.
Some
that
brick
were
was
on
falling down
on the roof,
on the roof.
so.
On the one that was on the left, as you can see, there's some bricks that we removed. I think we've taken them off of the roof, but they're falling down.
So did you see, I mean, when they started, the contractor started doing this, did you go there and see how far down the damage, went with the brick? I mean, sometimes it goes pretty far down, sometimes it doesn't. Did you have any?
Well, we were there when,
YouTube.
I mean, we weren't on site when that happened.
Yeah, on the right side,
Yeah.
it had already happened and it was already gone
Okay.
before. But on the left side, we're able to salvage up, because we wanna keep that whole side, up almost to the top.
Okay.
So that was the goal, so, but we did not see until after the fact on the right side.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the other one they were trying to cap, but they couldn't figure out the best place to cap it, because we were taking that wall down,
Yeah.
that whole section on the right side. And I think it just was gonna be like dangerous to be able to have that weight, and to be able to do the weight.
Okay.
So,
Did- Did they see whether these things, you said that they'd already been taken down at some point in the past, is that true? Did you
Well, they
know
were
that?
knocked down, like they were taller a long time ago. When we
Yeah.
got there, they were only about this high.
Yeah, I was saying, because I would imagine they probably would have been a little taller than what they
Yeah.
were,
Yeah.
even in the
And
2013
then, like I said, there were
bid.
bricks on top of the roof, so we were like kinda concerned
Mhm.
about that, but we didn't know until they got up there, what kind of shape it was in.
Do you have a lot of interior damage in those areas too, from where the chimneys were at? Did you see, especially when they took the one down, did you
We've
see?
been inside.
You have?
The whole
All right, I will
house
not.
is just damaged. wouldn't be
Hey,
able to, you wouldn't be
Just
able
trying
to
to ask the question you were
distinguish
gonna ask.
between the old damage and the chimney damage, but we did have leaking on the one
Yeah,
side.
but the
You
one
can see
side
the
that's
water
still
coming
there,
out.
the water's come all the way
Yeah.
through.
Okay.
But on the right side that's gone now, no. We really tried to do an engineering approach and put a big header, metal header and everything to hold the weight as we took everything out.
Yeah.
And they said it was just gonna be too unsafe. So when they started taking it down, it really all happened within a couple days and we didn't realize it was already gone. And so Brian, our contractor, he's like, it's gone.
Well, just,
And
you know,
he tried
I
to,
mean,
he tried to
he
save
was talking to
it.
us and, he was
Yeah.
telling us, you know, we gotta do our best to save.
Yeah.
So
Because he used to be the
yeah.
building inspector for the
Yeah.
city, so
Yeah.
he knows slightly what the process is, yes.
So, you know, and it was his judgment, because, I mean, we went into it saying we were gonna save, you know, we're gonna do as much as possible to save anything that's, you know, from the outside. And so I don't think that he didn't let it go lightly.
Does the board have other questions?
Gina, so are you just going to shingle over it or cover it, or?
Well, that was the plan, to go ahead and cap it and make it look shingled and straight. I mean, that's the plan if it gets approved. The one in the front we're going to salvage. We're gonna do whatever it takes to repair it. It's in a little disarray, but not near as bad as the back two. But the one in the front was never a choice in the matter. We were always gonna keep that regardless.
Other questions, comments from the board?
Yeah, I've had a lot of experience with chimneys, and most of it not good. They do tend to leak, and I think based on the existence of the deterioration that was already there, I don't see how you could do anything else but what you did, really. I mean, you'd end up with a compromised structure even if you tried to salvage it.
Well, maybe thought it would just keep leaking. It would probably just,
It'd be worse off long term.
yeah. But I appreciate you saying that.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess I don't understand why you can't just rebuild both those chimneys to, how you feel like they were originally.
Well, that's why we're here to see if we can get it approved to go ahead and do shingles. But we've come up with an alternative, if it's a must, to build a frame inside of it and then try to put a faux stack on it.
Yeah, those are very light.
Yeah, they're light, but we'd have to build that up. And that's like a plan B, but Brian and I talked about it. But then we were concerned with the one that we're keeping on the other side, that we're gonna have to figure out something to do with that, either tear it down enough to do the same thing, or we don't think we could salvage what you see exposed to the elements.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, that's not many courses of bricks.
No, and it's not. The only trouble that we've had is, it's getting resources and time. And so we talked to our mason about trying to partition some time off to go ahead and take care of this stuff. And I don't know if you've experienced the same thing, but it takes months to do anything. So this just occurred, the first week, second week of October. So we're just trying to figure out, what the course of action is.
And, and again, we don't wanna have future problems and have continual leaking and stuff either. So I'm concerned that if we try to fake it and get something out there, it's just gonna continue to be a problem, and damage the inside of the house. But
So, what were the recommendations from Brian regarding these two chimneys and their structural impact on the rest of the
He
house?
wanted to keep both of them, but when we had the crew start to take it down, dismantle it, he told us, like I said, within about 24 hours, that it needed to come down, all of it, and he was very saddened by that, and he said the second one, he would recommend taking it down to a certain level inside in the interior, and that was his recommendation to do, and he said that he wanted to go ahead and shingle them, but we thought we were gonna be able to do that, and so now we're here today just to see if that's an option, because I went back to him and said, if we have to, what would it take to go ahead and build a structure to faux a chimney up there? And he said that he can look at that, and talked to our mason Matt, that it's an option, but he said he just would shingle them.
because he ultimately made the decision.
So he didn't feel the existing, the remaining parts of the chimney would support additional weight of new brickwork on
No,
top?
not at all.
That was, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. I have no other question.
Any questions, comments from the board? Any from the audience? All right. Well, hearing none, I was gonna have to do this one, but Jerry, you wanna start us off on findings of fact?
Chimneys, page 38, chimneys are often decorative and should be maintained and preserved in accordance with the guidelines. They should not be removed or altered if the original, or if they're significant. They should be repointed and cleaned if they can be, match the guidelines. If it becomes unstable or already collapsed, rebuild to match the original design. Chimney caps should be of clay, slate, metal, or stone, and last, chimneys should not be covered with stucco or other veneers.
Do you believe what they're doing is within the guidelines of that or not?
It would appear that, based upon my reading of that, what they're doing is not within the guidelines.
Tom?
I need to recuse myself for conflict of interest.
Jerome?
I agree that it doesn't meet the guidelines.
Owen?
I agree with Jerome. Does not meet the guidelines, this proposal.
Ken?
And I agree with Jerry, does not meet the guidelines.
Mike?
I don't agree. I think they're in a fairly unique situation here where they've got a choice to save a chimney or a house. I'd vote for the house.
So, and I would want to modify what I said. I agree it doesn't meet the guidelines, but I agree with Mike that I think based upon the circumstances, I understand the situation they're in, and I am not negative
So
on
that would be
it.
the motion.
Well, yes, that would be the motion.
Yeah, so that-
You'll make a motion, however. But yeah, this is just more findings of
I get
fact.
ahead of myself.
It's okay.
Not you.
So, findings of fact, I mean, chimneys are a decorative type thing. We don't utilize our chimneys so much today as they did, back, in the earlier years. And, we do try to do what we can to sacrifice the chimneys that we have, and I think you guys have certainly tried to do that. It's not like you went in with the intention of taking these down, and I don't know that you even it doesn't sound like you're taking all the chimney down on the inside. You still got some brick there, but you don't know how much really weight that it can support. It obviously couldn't support it because they've taken some of the chimney down over the years anyway. So there was something going on in the past. So, it doesn't meet certainly the number 3 on this, but I also think that this is one of those where we have to try to utilize our heads a little bit too. So.
The
With
ones
that-
facing the front are there, but this is just the back.
Right, and I know that you are wanting to keep that front one so you can put your money into that, right? So, all right, so with that, I will take a motion.
So based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review deny a certificate of appropriateness for Chris and Jen at 214-16 West Second to demolish the chimneys. However, I would approve a COA. I move that we approve a COA if they rebuild the chimneys as they discussed.
You mean what they take?
Yeah, with the frame
Okay.
addition after the roof is saved. Make
I
sense?
second.
Hold on a second, I just want to make sure I understand that first.
Okay.
Can we?
It's more words than I usually like.
Yeah, I don't know if we can do all that in one motion.
You
Because you're
can.
denying and approving.
Correct.
I think that if we would deny it, then another motion would be made to approve what they want to do. I don't think we'd want to do it.
So-
I'm just saying it's
No.
confusing to them. So I would let's stay, can we stay with the deny, and then if it is denied, then you can make a motion to approve if they are willing to do so.
If the board would let that, yeah.
Yeah, certainly, that way we can entertain the
So
motion.
do you want to split the motions into demo and then what to do after the fact?
Well, right now, their application is only to demo,
Correct.
so I'm not
Okay.
splitting anything, because there's nothing to split.
Oh, that's
So,
interesting.
so
Sorry.
I think, right, what I'd like is the motion is to deny the
Deny the
application.
COA.
Yeah, right now.
Right.
And then, if it is denied, then he can make a motion.
Based on the vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Starting over, it's like Tom showed me. So based on preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison District Board of Review deny the certificate of appropriateness to Chris and Gina at 21416 West Second to demolish their chimneys.
I'll second that one too. Okay.
It's just 214, by the way.
Yeah,
It's been consolidated.
It has, oh, it has, okay, yeah, so 214.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Okay, Brooke?
Josh Wilbur,
Do not approve.
Jerome Vernon,
Do not approve.
Thomas Stark,
Recuse myself.
Stark,
Yeah.
O. McCall,
Now, I want to make sure I know what's happening here. Approve means
It is denied.
it is denied. Okay, I approve.
okay. Jerry Wade,
Do not approve.
Ken McWilliams,
Do not approve.
and Mike Pittman.
Do not approve.
Okay.
So based on that, that means your application is approved. Okay?
Good.
So because the motion was made to deny it, it did not get more than four, it did not get 4 votes or more to approve that motion. So therefore, you actually do get approved for your request to demolish the chimneys. And then, as you.
The two in the back.
The 2 in the back,
Yeah.
sorry, the 2 in the back. Well, right now, I'm not in the motions, that's good. But the 2 in the back, and then, of course, you had on there to, put the shingle over top.
Perfect.
You are good. Thank you very much.
It's a long way to get there, but we got
It was.
Long way.
No matter what Owen says.
Yeah, I know, Owen says a lot of things. No, it's kidding. All right, so with that, that finishes out our applications for this evening. We'll be moving on to new/old business. So Brooke, you want to take us into our,
So the first issue of new/old business I wanted to bring up is that in July of this year, I did a staff-approved COA for the sign, for Mad Love sign. I believe it's 709 West Main Street. When I was evaluating the application, I made a mathematical error on the dimensions of the sign. Our guidelines and our ordinance state that signs should be no larger than 16 square feet on any one side. The sign is larger than that. However, I did not catch it at the time. So I did issue an approved COA, and the sign was installed not too long ago, earlier this month. After receiving some feedback from the community, and we were going over the application in the office, that's when the error was discovered. So I want to apologize to the board and to the public for that mistake. And I want to ensure you that I have definitely put steps in place to make sure that such an error does not happen again. But in order, for transparency and honesty, I wanted to bring that to the board's attention.
thank you, Brooke, for telling us. I think, the board obviously was, has had some concerns, I think, from the public as well. We've received some of those. Can you tell me any of the steps or some of the steps that you have put in place to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Sure, absolutely. With all sign applications, the building inspector reviews those as well before a COA is issued. But we also have the department head, Nicole Shell, is reviewing those applications as well to get another set of eyes on it. I've also created a checklist, and I've written down, I know this sounds silly, but I've written down the exact formula to use for area, which I know what it is, but I put a reminder to myself to double check my math. And I've also, for each new sign application, I attach a copy of the ordinance with my notes, just like I would do on a staff report, of what part is or is not in conformance with the ordinance. And if any part is found not to be in conformance, then that application automatically will get forwarded to the board.
Have we sent any communication to the owners of the property that the sign actually was not within the guidelines, and that although it was approved, it should not have been staff approved at that point in time?
Yes, I did speak to them verbally, about that issue, after I had spoken to, Devin to let him be
Devin
aware.
Sharp, our
Devin
attorney.
Sharp, our attorney, to let him, to inform him about the issue. And so I did contact the owners, of the property, and so they are aware, that it was a mistake. However, Devin's opinion was that since the COA was already issued, that, the sign is to remain at this time.
Okay.
How many square feet is this sign?
If I can pull the application, but to my recollection, I believe it is 22 and a half.
Okay, so it's not twice as big as what would be allowed, it's like something like 1.5.
Nothing from the audience yet, just wait, we'll get,
It's something along the lines of 1.5 times the allowed area, is that?
I can pull the exact dimensions, because I don't wanna
Yeah.
tell you the wrong thing, so let me pull that if you don't mind. But it is larger than it's supposed to be, significantly larger than it's supposed to be. I'll pull the exact dimensions real quick.
okay, we'll give you a second, yeah.
Brooke, you may wanna add to the application, have the, sign, company calculate the square footage on the sign as well in the application, so that way you already get it checked that way too.
Okay, I can definitely do that. My internet is not working, I apologize. May I run, go grab that application real quick?
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
I will be right
We'll-
back.
We'll wait for you to do that.
Watch the wires,
Yep.
Yep.
they got me tonight. Flags aren't straight out, that'd be clear, they go down. I can't wait to see the minutes on that last motion. The first go round or the second go round? The first three. Now, does he get credit for doing two motions or one?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
At 2.5.
That'll be a feather in your cap at the end of the year, I promise.
Yeah, call me whenever you have one of those issues. I can have everyone just wanting to go home instantly. What's that good website that you say is doing? What's your street address? Something like that. Nuisance.
Yeah.
There's no sort.
You know, when it's throbbing all night.
I apologize about that. So the sign dimensions on the application are 30.85 inches by 121.54 inches, which works out to be a total square footage of 31 feet. Square feet, sorry.
So it is about double
It
what's
is.
allowed square footage. Okay.
Yes, correct.
So, since it was a error of the city, why couldn't the city just pay for a new sign that conforms?
I can't answer that question. That has not been asked. That question's not been asked. It was, you know, an issue that I definitely wanted to bring up to the board to discuss.
It's
I mean,
something I
seems
think.
fixable.
Well, I think it's something that we can ask the city. We'd have to ask the mayor about it. So, it's a good question. So I think that we probably need to ask the mayor.
Okay.
And I'll be more than happy to, be a part of that conversation.
Now, the question needs to be asked.
And then Josh, are you planning on, having that answer then back, by next month's meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that all you got there, Brooke?
Yes, I apologize. I'm sorry. It is.
I know this is a big topic in the community, and we may have people in the community that may want to come up and speak on the topic. So if you do, please feel free to come up. If you do, please state your name and address as you do, and then.
My name is Kevin Carlson. I live at 301 Jefferson Street. I'm the owner of Carlson Art and Sign. I'm at 227 East 2nd Street. I've been in business for 36 years. In those 36 years, I've conformed to the guidelines, to the ordinance. Whether it's a flat sign, a projecting sign, window signs. When I started out, I did a window lettering on a store downtown. You can only have 8-inch letters on a window. There's a building currently with bigger letters, but someone on the board back then took it upon themselves to measure every letter down the street. My lowercase g with a little curly q was a 1/2 inch off. They wanted me to scrape that off. I had a sign that was below the 9-foot limit on projecting signs over the sidewalk. The guy had a 9-foot pole. He wanted me to raise that up just probably 3 or 4 inches, you know. So I followed the guidelines. The other company that did this sign has been in business twice as long as me, almost twice as long. They should have known that any projecting sign is 16 square feet. Or you can come before the board and get it approved. They didn't do that. They've also got a sign at Magpies on Main Street. I don't know whether it came before the board or not. It's got taller letters than 8-inch letters. I think it's 10 inches. But it also covers more than 50% of the window. These two examples, and maybe another one, the Rivertown Grill, where they've got signs all over the windows. There's been no pushback on those two signs, and you know, I feel like I've been slighted because I've been working on mine for 36 years, and I think I deserve a little bit more respect than having something down the street that is twice the size of the ordinance, you know, allowed to stay. I was told that, oh, the city can't do anything about it because it's already approved. You approved somebody tearing down their chimneys. If they build it back already, what if they don't? Are you going to go up there and make them tear it down again? I'm just saying, I'm just a little peeved at this whole situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I address the Magpie sign and the Rivertown?
I'd rather not right now.
Okay.
We will after we do public comment.
Okay.
Julie Truax, 316 Mill Street, which is the corner of Main and Mill, which is, depending on which direction you're coming from, a half a block before or after Mad Love. Very excited about the new restaurant in town, something we need, can't wait to eat there. The sign is inappropriate, no matter how big it is. That's not even a part of what I would complain about. It's inappropriate for the neighborhood. You drive down the street, you start at the corner at Craigmont, you look at what's Madison Apothecary, you look at Old Time Marketplace, you look at Margie's Country Store, you look at the Trolley Barn, you look at the Attic, which I am the former owner of. I've been on that corner and been in that vicinity for 50 years. Bad Apple Max, Little Golden Fox, the Derma Bar, none of them have a sign that is that inappropriate. They want to put that sign on the inside of their restaurant, that's great. It's a great sign. Unfortunately, it is totally out of context for our neighborhood, and that is what is so disappointing. I agree that it's huge and it's way too big, but that's the least of what I am concerned about. And again, through the years, we've had to change our signs. We've had to do things. I will tell you, Kevin has always made sure that what we were doing was appropriate to this community. That sign is not appropriate, period.
Julie, could I ask you a question?
Sure.
If the sign met the size requirements, I'm not clear on what inappropriate means.
The lighting on it, it's just, gosh, kind of gauche, whatever. It's just not, it's not, to me, historic at all. I think you could have done that same sign without the lights, would probably have looked okay, and it had it just lit, but, you know, it's just not, it's too Las Vegas-y to me.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Brooke, in our guidelines, do we have anything that speaks to personal preferences on lights, not lights, gaudy, not gaudy, Vegas, not Vegas?
The only thing our sign ordinance states about lights is that they cannot be flashing or in motion. It does allow for, and then it talks about the way signs, that they cannot be backlit. Like, in other words, the signs you would see, like, let's say, for example, Taco Bell, to where it's a plastic sign in a box and it's lit from behind. Our sign ordinance states those specifically related to lighting, but it does not in any way prohibit a sign from being lit. If we look at, for example, other signs on Main Street that also have neon and lighting, that is in conformance with the guidelines.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience?
So Kim Kennard, I'm the owner of Mad Love at 709 West Main Street. So, when we went for the sign, just as far as Mad Love, I mean, it's Madison Love is what Love for Madison is what it stands for in a drink. So that was the thought process. The design of the sign is old school Madison. So we looked at pictures of what Main Street looked like in the 30s. And the sign looks exactly like the neon and very similar to the neon and the lights that were done in the 20s and 30s. So we actually replicated more of what old Madison looked like than the flat signs. As far as the sign, the size, I mean, we hired our sign company to create what we wanted it to look like with the neon and the color, or the neon and the lights. So I would say that in the short time that my husband and I have been here, we're a huge part of the community. Our house is on the Christmas tour, and so not only are we opening a restaurant, but we're opening our ourselves up to allow these other businesses to bring more people into Madison. So our goal is to help the community and to really prosper. And I know that kindness, there's a huge mural, who knows how big those letters are. But I mean, that's, kindness is kind of like what our whole theme is. So, you know, so that's where we're coming from. So it was not meant to offend or to disrespect anyone in the community, but to all, just to bring a great place for everyone to gather.
Kim, if there is, you know, we're able to get some reconciliation on the size of the sign, is that something you guys are gonna be cooperate with or be agreeable with? If that's,
So I will tell you, I mean, the sign was very expensive.
yeah, I figured it probably was.
Very,
I'm not
very
gonna-
expensive,
yeah.
yes.
So,
I mean, let us know what,
you will be, obviously will
What
be in
Devin comes
contact,
up with, yes.
through this process, but, yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that part of
yeah,
it too.
it was very expensive. We made sure before it was hand constructed and we had approval.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Hey, Kim, as part of the design process, I'm assuming that both you and Jeff probably had ideas on your own, that, you know, you had maybe 5 or 10, hey, let's do this, let's do that. Maybe you narrowed it down, worked with Heights. I would think that a professional like Heights would then come back and say, hey, here's plan A, B, C, D, and F or something. Were there options considered? How did we get to that final design and that specific size? Because at some point it would seem like there would have been some discussion on that.
You know, as far as the exact size, how that was determined, I'm not exactly sure. But the design process, I mean, it's in a scrapbook as far as like, I mean, I have that as far as what Jeff and I wanted, but we truly wanted the letters going up and down in the Eat Plus drink. I mean, we knew exactly what we wanted it to look like. And Heights came back with us with a couple different renderings of what they felt like, but it ended up being kind of stacked the way that we wanted it. We weren't sure what the dimensions needed to be in order to fit, but they came back and said, you know, this is what we can do, and submitted everything for us.
So they came back, here's the design, and then when you say they submitted it to the city?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they did all of the submissions.
So you're expecting that they're
Expert
on that?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Any other comments from the public?
Can I add, she's correct that, we had signs back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and, that were huge, you know, and for some reason, Mr. Lynch here, he wrote the ordinances along with, John Galvin, I believe, right? He came up with the
I was on the
ordinances?
advisory committee, but I was not really involved with the sign.
Okay, well,
Primarily Steve.
but it was like, what, 81?
1981. It was
1981, when the
Steve
historic
over here, yeah.
board was, and so they moved away from the big signs and all that gaudy, you know, look. Now, I agree that I don't like the ordinance any more than a lot of the sign people. You know, it constricts us at 16 square feet. That's a half a 4x8 sheet of plywood. But I've learned to do designs within that framework. I don't know why Mr. Heights doesn't have the same capabilities. You know, all I'm asking is either we follow the guidelines or we don't.
Exactly.
Understand.
And, you know, if that stands, then I should be able to produce signs of any size I want to. Because you let somebody else do it. Now, I'm not going to do that. I want to follow the guidelines. I make sure that they don't come before the board. If it's in the guidelines, you can get approved right then. You know, and no customer wants to wait 30 days to get it approved when they want to open their business. But, you know, it's just, you know, not going to be right if you let that stand. I sympathize that it's not maybe ideally it'd be, great to see it come down. Realistically, I don't know, that's up to you all. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I appreciate the public comment, and, you know, I do wanna make sure everyone understands, you know, this certainly was a mistake, and humans do make mistakes, and I'm never gonna condemn somebody for making a mistake. We all have done it, we all do it. A lot of it is how, you know, we come to some, you know, reconciliation of how to fix the error, if it's possible. So, you know, I'm not gonna condemn Brooke, and Brooke was gracious enough to sit here and pour her heart out and saying, you know, what happened. And that's always hard to do in and of itself. And I also understand the public's, you know, concerns over it. You know, we have heard public opinion, not just from what we've heard today. We have other, you know, some of us have heard public opinion outside of that. Some good, you know, some people have said some very good comments about it, and some people have said some not so. You know, I mean, you hear it, you know, on both sides. But we certainly are going to take all this under advisement, as I stated to you, Brooke. You and I will talk to the mayor, and we will go from there, and then we will bring that back to the board, what the mayor has stated you'd like to do. As for the other signs that you wanted to go ahead and make a comment about, go ahead this time.
So on any sign, such as Magpie, that a vinyl installed on window, only the solid portions of the sign can be measured to combine for the total percentage of how much it covers the window. So all of the spacing in between, letters in between the design, the bird, all of those things, all the spacing counts as uncovered by the sign, even though the sign does appear to be large. When you calculate only the solid areas, it does not cover that percentage of the window. And I actually went to Nicole on that one to ask, and she was the one who provided guidance on that one. The others, for Rivertown Grill, I believe the signs that Mr. Carlson is referring to are the photographs that are in the windows, as I believe it's a vinyl application on the window. The sign ordinance, it relates to any, it defines a sign as a sign that is something to promote the business, or business activities inside. So if it had, for example, the words eat, or, you know, something related to the business, then it would be considered a sign. But as such, because it's photographs, those are not considered signs under the ordinance. So those have to be looked at a little bit differently, and then that gets into the guidelines and the ordinance that we do not regulate what is inside or interior. So just as we wouldn't regulate a window display, if a store owner wants to put photographs on their windows, that does not count as a sign, because it does not have lettering to name the business or to the business activity. So there are a lot of nuances there, and I very much appreciate and understand, you know, that's definitely something we have to look at. And just to clarify, our ordinance is 18-inch letters. So,
18
I can bring up the sign ordinance.
No, I don't want to do that right now.
Okay.
Bring up that, but I think that we need to look at that, and we need to make sure that with the, you know, sign makers certainly in the city that are here, they need to better understand this. And I don't know if they don't understand it, but we certainly want to make sure we are very clear. I'm not sure that I'm very clear. So, you know, I know this goes to us needing to look at the ordinance, and the mayor knows very much wanting to do that, and so. But yeah, we need to try to make it as clear as possible. So it may be good to get some bullet points and pulling and making sure we're doing, you know, things are correct on this. Absolutely. Any other comments from the board before we move on? Okay, let's move on to the next. Do we have any other new or old business? I don't know of any.
do that.
top of my head. I just do want to remind the board, we are looking, certainly at preservation awards. So keep looking at your emails on that as we move towards, those in this, next month coming up. So, and then I know I've asked her to make sure she does send out to the board a list of applications and people that have been, very historic preservation driven over the past couple of years. Because remember, we're looking at the last 2 years with these. It just kind of helped jog our memories. I told her, I said, I've seen so many. I don't know if I can do it. I'd like to, have you help me out a little bit too. So she's gonna be sending some of that to us so we can, look at some of those as a good reference point too. Okay, any other new business from board? Any other new business from the audience? All right, hearing none, I will accept the motion to adjourn.
Well, we have the staff
Or do
report.
we, got the staff report, daggone, I was so close.
Sorry.
Oh, I was on a roll, I almost had us out of here. Oh.
I'll be quick,
No,
promise.
you're fine.
All right, so our October fast track applications, we had Dana Riddle at 406 East Main Street for an aluminum sign. HMI at 301 West 2nd Street for an aluminum sign. One on the pole in the northwest yard of the house next to the walkway and stairs, and one on the southeast corner of the lot on the rock wall. Jody Stevenson at 830 East Street for an aluminum sign. Robin Keene at 322 West Main Street for a vinyl sign on the window. That is I believe that one's the magpie sign. 323 East Main LLC, Colin Flynn, at 323-25 East Main Street for wood or aluminum clad wood windows. Linda Lytle at 416 St. Michael's Avenue for metal gutters, wood porch post, and hardy board siding. The work was done prior to the COA being issued. It was a PACE project, and somehow that got overlooked. Jeremy McCloskey at 815 East 1st Street, wood or aluminum clad wood windows, hardy board siding and soffits. And HMI at 118 West 3rd Street for a wooden ADA ramp located on the west side at the rear of the property between the museum and gardens. And then the October 2020 COA review, Jeannie Bato, or Bato, I'm not sure how you would say that, I apologize. 317 East Street, COA was to construct a 10 by 15 foot porch on the north rear of the home, replace existing door and windows with a door with side lights and double hung aluminum clad window. That is in progress currently. Paul Davis at 708 East 1st Street to remove one full-size window on enclosed east side of home and install a transom. To remove existing windows and install one double hung vinyl window. Remove two windows on the northwest corner and install one double hung vinyl window. And install two vinyl doors. That is in progress.
I'm gonna ask the question, I'm sure somebody else has probably got in their mind. Vinyl, was that replacing vinyl?
It was,
Vinyl replacing
this was
vinyl?
before I got here. I honestly do not know. I just looked at the COA on these, but I can dig into that
Okay.
for you.
I don't know, I guess, these weren't the fast track, my fault, I thought we were still in fast track.
Oh, no, these are the 2020s.
Disregard.
Sorry.
No, disregard.
Ron and Barbara Frazee, 621 Walnut Street, remove the rear west chimney and build a 5 by 13 addition. That is in progress. And Ron and Barbara Frazee at 829 West Main Street to remove east chimney and two rear southern chimneys and replace windows. And that has been done. And there we go.
All right. Any questions for Brooke? All right. Now with that, I'll accept the motion to adjourn. No one wants to go.
Tim wants to take another crack at that motion.
Based upon findings, I move we adjourn.
We have a second. Please give me a second. I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We adjourn. Okay, they're gonna make me sweat it out. You okay? Cramp up. Oh my gosh. I mean, me almost hurt.
Maybe it's stiff drink too.
Yeah, that'll be coming a little bit.
That helps not be there.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I didn't even eat any dinner. Usually we have to go to something before the meeting, and
Yeah, not interested.
no. It sounded good.
These
Yeah.
people take their chimneys down and she.
How long
I bet I'm not hungry.